Embrace your inner weirdo. The things that you love outside of design are the things you should explore within your work. And that really got the gears turning. I hope it gets your gears turning. The Perspective Podcast is fuel for your mind and creative grind. Each week, my guests and I provide the skills for thinking bigger, overcoming adversity, and making an impact with your work. What's going on? You're listening to episode 128 of the Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Scotty.D.Russell of Perspective Collective, and I'm here to help you build a killer side hustle and elevate your brand outside your day job. At the end of each episode, I plug a listener of the week, so stick around to figure out how you can get a shout out on a future episode in the show notes as well as in the newsletter. Got a solo episode show for you today. It's going to be quick, short, punchy, to the heart and gut, but I grew up under the impression that being weird was a bad thing. Because when I grew up, being weird got you picked on, it got you bullied, but being normal is what helped you fit in. And I was definitely a weirdo growing up. I had the bowl cut, the glasses, the braces. I wore Jinkos when they weren't cool anymore. You know, I had a lot of things that weren't going well for me early on, but I could always play sports. But getting severely bullied made it really hard for me to express myself when I got older, as popularity and acceptance are what I craved the most. So I did everything in my power to blend in with the cool crowd. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. And, you know, now that I'm older and I'm an adult, it's funny how the theme of everything has changed now. You know, being weird is a good thing. We're told not to lose that childlike imagination. We're told being weird is what you want to do. You want to showcase your uniqueness, that's how you're going to stand out. So back in episode 81, I gave you 3 super convincing reasons to show you're weird and wave your freak flag. And it was some of my favorite episode artwork, which you can see right here. Colton's adding it for you. But it was E.T. when he was cross-dressing up like a woman. I had so much fun with it, and it reminded me so much of my childhood, of how much I was afraid of E.T. And it fit really, really well with this episode. But, you know, that episode was more of a permission slip for me to dig deep on the weird shit I loved and to express the weird shit that I love as an adult now. So what I loved as a kid and what I love as an adult now. And recently, a month ago, I attended Crop Conference. And some of the biggest juggernauts in the creative realm all touched on this theme of embracing your weird. And it just so happens they've all been past guests on the podcast. So clearly I know how to pick the right people and give you what you need. So today I felt inspired to combine their topics from what they talk about at Crop and combine it with my thoughts and go deeper on this weird subject of showing you're weird. So today's episode is now a permission slip for you to connect the dots of the weirdness of the things you loved as a kid with your weirdness as an adult right now. And of course, we're going to have some fun with this. I'm going to make a drawing challenge prompt for you, and I'm clearly participating too. That's what the episode artwork is today. Stick around, more details on this at the end, because I will be sharing your work on my Instagram feed if you participate with this. So let's start off by going over what these juggernaut speakers quoted from Crop, and we're going to use that as our base layer of our foundation for today's episode. So let's start off first with James Victory. And during James's keynote, he unfortunately couldn't attend because of weather. Like, the weather was insane. So luckily all the speakers were able to make it except for him. His flights all got canceled, but we were able to project him on a massive screen. Like, his face was like 80 feet wide, but maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit. But we talked a bit about his book, Feck Perfection, like we've had on the podcast here. And in this book and in his keynote talk, he constantly drives home this quote to creatives that the things that made you weird as a kid make you great today. And that quote was the main kicker for today's drawing prompt assignment for you, as it really got me thinking about all the weird things that I really loved as a kid and where that overlap is today, like E.T. I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit, so let me not go on a tangent. But if you want to go back and listen to James' episode on the podcast, just go back a couple episodes. It's on 117. I think you're really going to enjoy it. There's video to go along with that as well. And next up was John Contino. And his talk was literally titled Born Weird. So this theme is pretty crazy. What I love about John is that he embraces and owns the shit that made him weird in his past, which has influenced his style and the person he's become today, which is just a badass designer working with some of the biggest brands in the world. And a quote that resonates with me the most that he said that day at Crop was, "Creatives get to be weird forever." And he kind of gave us all a permission slip to, understand that we are weird and that's why we can thrive and be unique. And he said that shit with so much conviction that it let me know that I'm going in the right direction where, where I'm taking my business and the message that I want to relay to people like you listening in who may be, stumbling across the same obstacles that I've been stumbling across over the years, trying to find my unique voice, my style, how to stand out instead of trying to blend in. And again, you can jump back on John Catino's episode. His was even more recent. It came out the day before Crop, was episode 123, so go back and watch the video of that. And finally, the last keynote that touched on this was my good friend Lauren Hom. Lauren Hom, aka Hom Sweet Hom, she rocked the stage and dropped some gems relating passion projects to her inner weirdo. And I'm taking 2 quotes of hers and I'm meshing them together, to kind of drive home the point today. But she stated, embrace your inner weirdo. The things that you love outside of design are the things you should explore within your work. And that really got the gears turning. I hope it gets your gears turning as well. And it got me thinking, like, how can I incorporate the things I loved in the past and in the present and show more of it in my work, like the ET drawing for episode 81. How can I do more of this? I had a lot of fun and it performed really well, and I still got to do my own unique style with it. And again, this is more fuel to add to this drawing prompt that I'm going to give you shortly. And if you want to go back, Lauren was back on the episode back at episode 75, so I'm going to link all 3 of theirs in the YouTube link description as well. But again, all this, since I've been back from Crop Conference, it's made me kind of rethink and go deeper on the direction I'm going with Perspective Collective. And I gave myself a little homework assignment to dig deep into the weird shit that I loved as a kid and how that overlays to who I am and what I love that's weird today as an adult. So in no particular order, when I was just a young little lad, I always loved pizza. All right, Ninja Turtles, Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin, a lovely cheese pizza just for me. Like, that was my motto growing up. I always wanted pizza. I was always drawing dumbass pizza things. I was always obsessed with aliens and outer space. I was the kid who had sleepovers and we'd go to Blockbuster, and when they wanted to rent, some funny or cartoony movie that was popular at the time, I was the one renting like old school documentaries on Roswell, the first UFO alien crashers or Area 51. And I was probably the worst sleepover host because I made my friends watch these boring ass things that I was obsessed about. And I also loved paranormal or anything supernatural, ghost movies. Casper was my jam growing up. I also was fascinated by trees, clouds, sun rays. That always seemed to be a pattern within my work. Cartoons, I mentioned, I loved Ninja Turtles, especially Mikey. I loved Power Rangers growing up. I loved Rugrats. I loved reading Rainbow. We didn't have cable, so anything on Nickelodeon I had to go over to my grandma's house to watch, so that's how I loved Rugrats. But we had something called Iowa Public Television. We had 6 channels. Fox was one and IPTV was the other one. That's where I got to watch Reading Rainbow, and I grew up hardcore on Bob Ross. So I got a soft spot in my heart for Bob Ross. He'd be someone I'd want to, have lunch with if I could meet anybody, dead or alive. That would be the guy. The dude fucking painted with a squirrel in his pocket. Like, how cool is that? Let me speed it up with the other things I love. I love collecting football and basketball cards. I think this was my introduction to graphic design in terms of layout on the cards, logos. I was fascinated by logos growing up, like Lakers and the old Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Orange Creamsicle, Yankees logos, monograms. I also had a weird obsession with drawing dragons and Grim Reapers, funny enough. I had this dark side to me, and video games. What kid didn't play video games? So my jam, if you didn't know, I loved Pokemon. I loved Pokemon, and I also played Zelda a lot on the Game Boy. I played Mario on Super Nintendo and Nintendo, and Duck Hunt, all that cool shit. And then on Sega, I would play Shaq Fu, Sonic the Hedgehog, Tecmo Super Bowl. And then finally, I was early on in the PlayStation days, so I'm a PlayStation guy over Xbox if I was still gaming. I loved Final Fantasy, role-playing games. I played Tony Hawk like it was my jam back in the day. All the Madden games, Spyro. I love Skyrim, again, that theme with dragons. I used to also draw that cool little S, 3 lines, pointy top, connect them all. I think it's called the Stussy X, or the Stussy X. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it's called, but you know what I'm talking about. I love collecting pencils, fine liners. I drawing in black and white, and I love details. I hated white space, and then I appreciated the good old Laffy Taffy jokes. I would collect all my quarters and go buy Laffy Taffies and collect those joke wrapping papers. So that's a lot of the stuff I enjoyed as a kid. So you can get to know me better and see where these weird themes that I love so much now are coming from. Because now the things I love as an immature adult will fly through these. Again, you'll start seeing this overlap is pizza. All right, I love eating pizza. I love drawing pizza. And now pizza has become part of my brand without me trying to. But if you think of pizza, I want you to think of me or vice versa. Again, I love aliens and outer space. I love anything paranormal and supernatural. Fun fact, I'm pretty sure we have some kind of ghost in our house. We have weird shit happening all the time in our house. I love it. Not so much my wife, but we got cameras now, so maybe I can catch something. Again, I love coffee. I love the coffee culture. I love connecting coffee mugs. I like putting out my own mugs. I like having that instant connection with someone, that instant caffeine, caffeinated connection with people. I love that. I love my cats. I grew up with a cat and a dog, but we moved into our house. It was kind of quiet, and we rescued 2 little baby kitties from San Antonio, Texas, where my sister-in-law used to live, and she saves animals. And so I just fell in love and obsessed with cats. If you have a cat, I want to see your cat's photo and I want to know its name. I still love art supplies, but now that I got the iPad Pro, I don't need to go buying microns every other week as much. And you can see this theme of how I loved dragons when I was young by my obsession and fascination with Game of Thrones now. Like, I love Game of Thrones. That's probably my biggest addiction, my biggest weakness these days is consuming that. And then, my old school love of Laffy Taffy jokes. That's why I'm such a lover of puns and dad jokes and wordplay and alliteration. I don't know, something about the effort of a dumbass joke or wordplay, and that's why I like rap, lyrical rap like J. Cole or Kendrick or some of the old school greats. I really, really appreciate that stuff, or Eminem. Again, love collecting old pencils. I still use fine liners. That's my shit. I still love drawing in black and white, even though I'm a colorful person. Black and white's still my default, and I still love details over white space, and some of the newer ones is I'm a gym rat. All right, it helps me feel better about myself from being that kid who got picked on and bullied growing up. So as I list these out, and I vomited all these things out, I gave my own self a homework assignment. It's starting to easily see where I can connect these dots and see where it's showing up in my work, and seeing how I can then put more of this, show more of my weirdness in my work right now to make myself truly unique. And let's end this real quick about talking about the future of Perspective Collective, and maybe this can keep your gears turning for maybe what you want to focus on right now in the present, moving forward for your future in a year, 3 years, 5, 10 years, wherever you want to take your side hustle or your side business. So as I niche down, whatever, and start this next chapter of Perspective Collective, there are a few things I'm tapping into as I know more about myself. My goal isn't to attract and appeal to the widest audience possible like it used to be. In this day and age, people on social media, they're craving an authentic connection to those who aren't afraid to show their truest selves in their work, as well as their presence online and, most importantly, offline. I want you to hear me on the podcast, interact with me through DMs, and then meet me at a conference. You're like, that's the same fucking person. All right? That's what I want. I want that instant, authentic connection. And I realize it's more important than ever right now. I'm getting goosebumps as I talk about this, speaking with conviction, but I realize it's more important than ever right now to wave my freak flag with pride. And doing so helps me attract the right type of freaks to my tribe. It lets me vibe out to my own weird flavor, and those who are hopefully are attracted to that same flavor as well. That's their same palate. And if you don't vibe to this, you're offended that I swear, whatever it is, you don't dig the pizza, the outer space, the cats, the coffee, that's fine. Go find your tribe of weirdos that you can connect with. That's I'm not offended. Go do your thing, all right? You don't got to hate, you don't got to troll. Just do you and go find what works for you, all right? And let people enjoy their weird things. So waving my freak flag moving forward involves understanding, embracing, and showcasing those weird things that make me unique, that maybe I show from my past and show in my present, so I can start shaping and creating my future. And hopefully you're along for the ride with this. So now let's move into the challenge, okay? So if you're vibing to today's message, this is where the challenge comes in. And I'm calling this one the Show Your Weird #PC Flash Sheet. And I want you to create a flash sheet. If you don't know what a flash sheet is, it comes from the tattoo world. If you go into a tattoo shop, they'll have a flash sheet up of all these different works, collaged together, and basically you come up, point out, like, I want this one, okay? So basically what we're doing right now, it's a trend that's really taken off within our design world as well, but I want you to make a flash sheet or a collage of all the weird shit that you loved as a kid and that you love as an adult now, okay? And make a lettering, illustrative, or a photo collage of all these things together. And you can use my episode artwork as an example, or you can just search flash sheet on Instagram or on Pinterest. I even have a Pinterest board of flash sheet inspiration. And when you do this, make sure to tag me on both my Perspective Collective Instagram or my Perspective Podcast Instagram. Actually, tag both of them to make sure I see it, and use the hashtag #PCFlashSheet to make sure I see it. I'm going to be sharing my favorite ones. If there's a lot, I'll be just sharing my favorite. If there's only a decent amount of submissions, I'm going to share them all. So get on it. Have some fun with it. Use color. Go black and white. Make a photo collage. Do whatever you want. And how I'm doing it, I'm just going to like start making branding elements. I'm going to make weird little shit like pizza boxes with perspective collective branding on it. Or I'm going to draw like Michelangelo waving a perspective podcast flag. So I'm going to integrate my branding within these weird little illustrated lettering pieces. So, and I'm hoping that today's message and this challenge gets you one step closer to showing up and being your truest, weirdest self. The weirder, the better. So that's a wrap. Short, punchy, right to the gut. PC family, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope it gives you the permission to, go and dig deep and find that weird shit about you in the past and connect it to the weird person that you are in the future, and just embrace it and show it, and love yourself and love all the weird things about you, because I think when you show up and love yourself and love those weird things about you, that it's going to attract the other people that love that weird shit too, and you guys can just vibe and become part of a tribe. So also real quick, I need to continue to mention this. The Side Hustlers War Chest is out right now for free for you to download. I got a link in the YouTube description, or go to sidehustlerswarchest.com. Basically, this is your all-in-one toolkit for helping you build a killer creative side hustle outside your day job, as well as elevating your brand. It's for those who struggle with pursuing their hobbies and turning that into a side hustle with the dream of making it a side business. And in this, you have resources like helping you find time to grind and execute outside your day job. I have a resource that's all about iPad and Procreate resources with promo codes so you can get the best deals on everything. I got book recommendations on creativity, business, and personal development. I have drawing resources, all the tools that I use with links to them, as well as guides and tutorials that I've made to help you understand my process or create time-lapse videos. This thing is jam-packed with 6 different guides, all meant to help you elevate your shit outside your day job. And it's for free. Again, sidehustlerswarchest.com. And if you're searching for some type of community, then join the Perspective-Collective Facebook community. All right, we got a global community of people all across the world sharing their work, providing feedback, collaborating. You should see this 36 days of type thing that I had going on from last month's online lettering challenge. Like, we had over 500 comments in this thread of people sharing their work and contributing and helping people, providing feedback. It's awesome. If you want to be a part of this online community, join it, the Perspective-Collective Facebook group. And if you want to support and give back to this show and be a listener of the week, all you got to do is subscribe and leave a rating or review over on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help the show climb up the charts in the arts design category, but it allows me to give you a plug as listener of the week. And this week's listener of the week titles this podcast will change your life. It's from Decent Designer from the USA. They state, are you a creative person? Do you want to meet creative people? Do you need inspiration? Do you struggle with motivation? Are you ever bored? If you answer yes to any of these questions, then this podcast is for you. Scotty never fails to inspire, whether doing a solo cast like this one or talking with one of his incredible guests. Getting to know and hear the stories of these ultra-talented people is truly eye-opening. This podcast pushes me to be better every week, and I cannot recommend it enough. That's all you got to do. You can go short, you can keep it long, you can keep it heartfelt, whatever you do. Just know that I sincerely appreciate it, and it gets you locked in as listener of the week, and you permanently are a part of the podcast forever, which is pretty dope if you think about it. So as I sign off, I got to give a huge thank you to my executive assistant, Paige Garland, my video specialist, the homie Colton Bacher, as well as my brother, Nick Jenkins of Bluka, for all the dope theme music you hear on this show. And as you finish off your week strong, I want to continue to encourage you to keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and keep creating. You got this. Thanks again for listening. It'd be awesome if you took the time to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and let the comment below so we can connect. Again, if you want to catch a shout out as a future listener of the week, make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes and give it a rating and review.